love chicken wings, but sometimes I want like a little bit different flavor. And so today I'm gonna share with you two mild chicken wing recipes that are loaded with flavor because if you're not bringing the heat, you have to entertain the taste buds another way. Welcome to Peel with Zeal. My name's Jen. I'm so happy you're here. Please subscribe and let's get started. Our two wing recipes are going to be really different. One is going to be a dry rub and one is going to be a saucy wing. First up, we're going to do our garlic butter wing, and this is based on a sauce that is really popular on my website. It comes from my garlic butter sauce, but then that turned into my Cajun garlic butter sauce, and they're very, very popular. So I wanted to turn that into a chicken wing.
Brining your chicken is optional, but I always recommend doing a wet brine. And then we are going to dry out the chicken wings. And what I like to do is using clean hands, you're going to set these out on a baking rack that is set inside of a baking sheet. And then they will sit in the fridge overnight uncovered. And this will help dry out the skin so they'll get nice and crispy before we add in our sauce. And if you're feeling a little extra, you can salt the skin and that will dry it out further. You're just going to want to reduce the salt in the sauce. Now, the easiest way to do this is in a Ziploc bag, but you can absolutely do this in a mixing bowl. But we are going to combine our chicken wings with baking powder, salt, and pepper, and then toss them to evenly coat. And you can just shake them in that Ziploc bag. I'm going to show you two different ways to bake the wings today. For this recipe, we are going to put them back on the rack, but we're going to line our baking sheet with foil for easy cleanup. I personally like to do it directly on the parchment, but when I'm going to do a saucy wing, I really do like them to be completely dry on the bottom when I bake them. While they're baking, we are going to get into our garlic butter sauce. Oh, it's so good. You're going to start with a little bit of butter and really caramelize that garlic. It takes almost 2 minutes. You just have to stir it constantly so it doesn't burn, and it's going to smell so fragrant. I can't talk today. It is going to smell so fragrant. Next up, we're going to add a little dash of hot sauce, not much, and you can always skip it if you want. And to that, we're going to whisk in the remaining butter and the lemon juice. And you can kind of keep this just on a simmer on the stove to keep it nice and warm. And yes, my butter is actually that yellow. It is, I'm using Kerrygold here, and it is just really, really yellow butter. So that is not Photoshop. That is actually what it looks like. Scrape all the goodness from the pan onto those wings. We're going to toss them to coat, and I like to add a little parsley or chive if I have some around, and feel free to add a little bit of pepper. I think that it kind of gives it a little bit of heat without making it spicy, and served with ranch or blue cheese. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, but don't go anywhere because
Our second recipe today is going to be our dry rubbed wing, and we're going to put a little baking soda in with this, and that's going to give it a really crispy exterior. Let me show you how to make it.
So our Middle Eastern wings are going to start the same way our other wings started. You're going to want to brine them if you have time, dry them out overnight, but whatever you do, blot them dry because they have to be super dry to get that dry rub to adhere. Time to make the dry rub, and we're going to start with baking soda just because it's going to give it that nice kind of crispy edge. Again, this is absolutely optional, but I really like it. And to our spice mix, we are going to combine coriander, turmeric, cumin, garlic, cinnamon and ground clove, salt, and loads of black pepper. Give that a stir, and we're going to add our very dry wings into the bowl and take your time to get them as well coated as possible. You can use clean hands or do this with tongs, both work, before we set them out on parchment. Now, I always recommend doing parchment with this because the turmeric will actually stain your baking sheets, even if they're stainless steel. If that doesn't bother you, you can just lightly spray the baking sheet with a little bit of olive oil or whatever kind of nonstick spray you have and drop the wings on there before we bake them for 25 to 35 minutes at 450 degrees. These wings are also excellent grilled, so I highly suggest, like, if you like this recipe, try them in the summer grilled. Fantastic. While the wings are baking. We are going to make a lemon and coriander dip for this. I just think it needs something different than ranch or blue cheese. And that is going to be Greek yogurt, shallot, garlic, cilantro, and lemon juice, along with some salt and pepper. You can stir it, but I personally like to put it in a food processor because it gets really smooth and it's just perfect for dipping your crispy wings. I hope you enjoyed these recipes and let me know which one you're going to try first.